You have been lied to. They told you to work hard, save a little, retire at 65, and that this was freedom. But if 40 years of labor ends in a pension too small to live on, what do you call that? You were not born to serve until death. You were not born to watch life pass while you trade your soul for a salary. The world does not reward the obedient. It rewards the man who sees the trap and walks out of it. And that man begins here. Listen closely, because if you miss this message, you may work to the grave and still die poor. You believe you are free. You believe that hard work will pay off. You believe that one day, maybe after 40 years of labor, if you've been loyal, if you've saved, if you've followed the system, you will get your reward. But I say this to you without apology. If 40 years of labor ends in dependency, then who truly owned your life? I have seen it too many times. Men who gave their entire youth to a job, only to reach the age of 65 with a tired body, a trembling hand, and a fearful glance at the calendar because their money is running out. They obeyed every rule. They stayed quiet. They did what they were told. They worked. They waited. And when the waiting ended, there was nothing waiting for them. I ask you again, who owns the life of a man who gives it away one paycheck at a time, only to die uncertain, unfree, and unremembered? You must understand this. Slavery has changed its costume, but it has never left. The chains are no longer metal. They are made of routine, of debt, of low expectation, of unexamined beliefs. You were told that the system works if you follow it. But what you were not told is that the system was never designed to make you rich. It was designed to make you useful to someone else's wealth. I will not soften my words. I am not here to encourage you. I am here to awaken you, because until you see the truth of your condition, you will never walk free. You will smile politely while you waste your years and call it responsibility. You will praise the men who enslave you and call it employment. You will wait for a retirement that barely covers your rent and call it security. This is not a tragedy. This is a choice. And that means it can be unchosen if you are bold enough to face it now. In this speech, I will give you the laws that the wealthy learned while others were asleep. I will tell you exactly how Carnegie, Rockefeller, Schwab, Ford, and Lincoln rose from nothing, not by chance, not by favor, but by alignment with truth and obedience to law. You will learn why work alone will never make you free, why retirement is the reward of the obedient, not the free, how schools are designed to shape employees, not owners, why your job is not a plan, it is a placeholder, how the rich obey invisible spiritual laws that poor men ignore, how your daily habits form the prison you call life, why waiting is the enemy and movement is the cure, and how the man who refuses to serve eventually becomes the one who commands. You will answer these questions. What is my life really producing? Have I mistaken obedience for purpose? Why have I delayed the building of wealth? What must I stop doing immediately? What must I repeat every day until my freedom is real? If you are honest, truly honest, you will realize that you are not free. Not yet. But if you stay with me, if you listen to every word, if you repeat what I teach and apply it with precision, you will no longer work until death. You will build a life that works for you. And let me say this plainly, the chains are in your habits. The key is in your mind. And this is your last warning before time makes the decision for you. Affirm this aloud now. I refuse to work my life away and die poor. I was born to own, not to obey. Let us move forward now into part 1. Work alone will never make you free. You have been taught to believe in labor. You have been told that hard work is the answer. That if you simply clock in, stay late, serve well, keep your head down, you will one day rise. But the truth is this. Work alone will never make you free. You can sell your strength to another man's dream for 40 years and still die without a name. You can give your finest decades to a factory, to a company, to an office, and still retire into scarcity, watching the calendar and the checkbook with equal fear. I do not speak against work. I speak against misplaced loyalty. The man who works without thought is no better than a machine. The man who works without purpose is no freer than a mule. And the man who works without ownership is still a servant, no matter how large the paycheck appears. Let me teach you the difference between labor and wealth. Labor is the effort of the body. Wealth is the command of thought. Most men sell their hours for another man's vision because they never understood this law. Money obeys thought, not time. A man can spend his entire life in toil and be passed by the thinker who dared to build a system. One man digs a hole, the other sells the shovel. Who do you think gets rich? The poor man always points to effort. He says, I worked hard. I showed up every day. But he does not realize that the reward never goes to the one who merely shows up. It goes to the one who builds leverage, the man who, through definite thought, creates something that works without him. Andrew Carnegie worked once and profited forever. He did not simply swing hammers in a steel mill. He designed an empire. He built a system of processes, men, and materials that multiplied while he slept. He used his mind to organize men with skill and vision. And from that moment forward, his ideas earned more than any single day of labor ever could. That is the secret the worker never learns, that the mind is the only true factory of fortune. Yet you have been trained differently. From youth, you were taught to associate hours with income, to believe that your value is based on how much time you give. But time is a poor man's currency. It is the one thing you can never earn back. And every time you trade it for someone else's dream, you are selling the only thing that is truly yours. The truth is this: men were trained to work, not to think. They were trained to obey, not to build. And now they wonder why they labor for a lifetime and have nothing to show. It is not injustice. It is programming. And it must be broken. You cannot continue to believe that more effort will bring more freedom. It will not. What brings freedom is ownership. Ownership of thought, ownership of systems, ownership of purpose. Until you stop working blindly and start working with definiteness, you will always trade your life for crumbs. Listen to me. A man who never escapes hourly labor dies a servant. It matters not whether you wear a suit or swing a hammer. If you trade your time for pay with no greater plan, you are merely a more expensive slave. But there is a way out. There is a new law to obey, a new identity to form, and it begins here. Affirm now, speak with power. I do not sell my life for crumbs. My work builds ownership, not dependence. This is the beginning of your liberation, but if you stop here, you will fall back into the same old cell. So let us move forward. Part 2, The Retirement Lie, A Slave's Reward. You were told to wait. Wait until your 60s. Work while you're young. Save a little here. Sacrifice today so you can enjoy tomorrow. And when tomorrow comes, you're tired, you're broke, and your freedom is nothing but a memory you never lived. Retirement is the lie they gave slaves so they wouldn't revolt. The truth they never told you is this: you are not saving for freedom, you are saving to delay collapse. The whole structure was built on the assumption that you would obey long enough to become too weak to question it. They gave you just enough security to keep you from running, just enough hope to keep you from asking, and just enough fear to keep you working. I say this without apology. The man who waits until 65 to begin living was never alive to begin with. You think retirement is a reward? It is a leash. They call it a pension. I call it permission to survive. You were never supposed to reach your final years with dread in your chest and a calculator in your hand. That is not freedom. That is a sentence. And the only crime you committed was trusting a system that was never built to set you free. Let me show you how wealth works. Not the fantasy, but the formula. True wealth is not saved. It is not rationed. It is not handed out at the end like a prize for obedience. True wealth is built through value. It is the byproduct of thought, decision, and the courage to step off the assembly line. Look at Henry Ford. He didn't save his way into millions. He didn't work for someone else until he was 65. He created something that multiplied without him. He built systems. He saw opportunity where others only saw jobs. And because of that, his wealth worked while he slept. That is the difference between the man who builds and the man who waits. The builder lives now. The waiter dies hoping. You were taught that delayed gratification is the key to success, but the truth is that delayed vision is death. If your entire life is built around a reward that only comes when you're too tired to enjoy it, you were deceived. You want to know the truth about retirement? Here's the truth. Most men never make it there. They die before they ever escape the wheel. And the few who do arrive with a body that's weak, a wallet that's light, and a soul that's forgotten what it meant to move with purpose. It doesn't have to be this way, but only if you're willing to break the lie today. Affirm with power. I do not wait for freedom, I build it now. I reject the retirement trap. My wealth begins today. The system rewards the silent. Part 3. Schools create obedient workers, not rich men. You were trained, not educated, conditioned, not liberated. From the first day you stepped into a school, they were not preparing you to own your life. They were preparing you to serve someone else's. The school system does not produce creators, it produces cogs. Think carefully. What did they teach you? Sit down, be quiet, memorize, repeat, obey, raise your hand for permission to speak, wait your turn, learn the rules, follow instructions, stay in line. Now ask yourself, how many of those lessons do you see in the life of the rich? None. Because no man ever became free by obeying everyone else's commands. The men who rose, Carnegie, Edison, Ford, they broke the line. They rejected the path laid before them. They thought, they imagined, they questioned, they moved with belief, not compliance. Let me tell you about Thomas Edison. He was thrown out of school. The teachers said he was unteachable, deficient. They told his mother he would never learn. And what did he do? He went on to bring light to the entire world, not because of a classroom, because of belief, because of persistence, because of vision. And here is the great irony. The same system that rejected Edison now teaches about him. They celebrate his name, but they punish the spirit he lived by. The truth is this. Schools do not teach wealth. They do not teach imagination. They do not teach faith. They teach order. They teach comfort. They teach dependency. They teach you to memorize a script and never to write your own. If you want to become rich, you must unlearn the thinking that made you poor. You must cast out the false beliefs that were planted in you by those who were never free themselves. You must question the path. You must think for yourself. Ask, why was I taught to fear mistakes more than mediocrity? Why was I never taught to build income? Why did no one speak of definite purpose? Why were the laws of wealth, faith, autosuggestion, desire, organized planning left out of every curriculum? I will tell you why. Because obedient workers do not need wealth. They only need enough to survive and to keep showing up. This is not an attack on learning. Number this is a war against indoctrination. Education is power when it liberates the mind. But when it only trains the hand, it becomes a prison. If you want to rise, you must retrain your thinking. You must study what the free men study. You must speak like the man you intend to become, not like the one you were trained to be. You must ask questions they never let you ask. Who benefits from my obedience? Who profits from my delay? Who taught me that my value is measured in grades, hours, or approval? The moment you start questioning, you start building your exit. You were not born to follow instructions. You were born to give them. You were not made for desks and bells. You were made for vision and command. And if you are willing to reclaim your mind, you will reclaim your life. Affirm now, with certainty, I think for myself. I question the path I was given. I was not born to follow instructions. I was born to give them. Part 4. A job is a temporary solution, not a permanent strategy. Let us be honest now, brutally honest. A job is not freedom. A job is not wealth. A job is not a plan. A job is a placeholder for the man who has not yet taken command of his own life. You are taught to believe that a job is security, but I tell you, it is only a cage with polite walls. The world taught you to find employment, not purpose. It taught you to search for paychecks, not plans. It taught you to settle for survival instead of building a life that commands respect and earns abundance. Understand this truth. A job may solve your immediate need, but it cannot fulfill your ultimate calling. If you do not have a definite chief aim, a job becomes a coffin. It is the slow decay of potential masked as duty. You wake up, you punch in, you work all day, you punch out, and repeat. And somewhere along the way, you forget that you were meant for more. Do I say abandon your job? Number. But I say this, use your job the way free men use tools, not as a master, as a means, as leverage, as the funding for your freedom, not the replacement of it. Let me tell you about Edwin C. Barnes. He did not despise work. He worked as a clerk, but he had one vision burned into his soul, to become business partners with Thomas Edison. He worked with purpose, not just for a wage. He used the job to get into the room. And once in the room, he proved himself and left the job behind forever. This is how wealth is built, not through years of repetition, but through intention, definiteness, and strategy. The tragedy of modern man is not that he works hard, it is that he works hard without direction, without purpose, without ownership. And so he becomes a slave, not because of chains, but because of habit. Hear me now. A job is only noble when it funds your freedom. If you are still working to stay alive, you are not yet free. If you are still hoping for a raise instead of building income streams, you are not yet free. If your days are consumed with tasks that build someone else's dream and leave yours dormant, you are not yet free. But you can be. The door is open, but you must stop kneeling before the illusion of security and start standing for the reality of ownership. Do not live your entire life renting your time. Own your days. Command your income. Use your job. Don't let it use you. Say it with conviction. My job is not my identity. It is my tool. I use my job to build freedom. Part 5. The rich man's laws are spiritual first. Let the world keep chasing money. Let them scramble for crumbs. Let them trade hours for coins and sell their birthright for wages. You, I am speaking directly to you, you must understand what they do not. The laws that create wealth are spiritual before they are material. You cannot rise until you rise in mind. You cannot earn until you believe you are worthy. You cannot command until you obey the laws that govern riches. Not the laws written by men, but the ones written into the very structure of the universe. There is a divine law behind every fortune. And if you break that law, the money will break you. You have been told money comes from effort. I tell you plainly, money comes from alignment. You must align your thought with your belief with your words with your action, and your action with your plan. This is law. This is order. This is power. Look at the lives of the wealthy, not the ones born into it, but those who built it. Rockefeller tithed not out of superstition, but out of principle. He honored divine law. He believed money was a stewardship. He structured his empire not just on business, but on internal discipline. Andrew Carnegie surrounded himself with minds greater than his own, not because he was weak, but because he obeyed the mastermind principle. He believed that riches were attracted to unity, to definiteness, to mental harmony. Edison repeated the vision of electric light to himself long before the world believed in it. He walked with certainty while others mocked. He obeyed the invisible law of belief, faith applied to a definite aim. Do you understand now? It is not business alone that creates wealth. It is belief. It is spiritual alignment. Faith is not religion. It is power. It is seeing the invisible as though it were visible. It is holding your vision with such intensity that the world must obey. And what of autosuggestion? The world calls it foolish repetition. The rich call it mental programming. They know the subconscious mind must be told what to do. And what you say to yourself with emotion becomes instruction. And the subconscious executes what it is told. If you wake each day and speak defeat, delay, weakness, you have issued orders for poverty. If you wake and declare belief, wealth, clarity, you have issued orders for victory. And planning, do you think riches obey the man who moves without a map? Never. Wealth is a general. It responds to organized offense. Write your aim, write your steps, review them daily, adjust, attack again. All of these, faith, definiteness, repetition, planning, are spiritual in nature before they ever manifest a dollar. This is why the poor man may work harder than the rich and yet remain poor, because he works with muscle while the other works with mind. One sweats without direction, the other thinks with precision. And the man who thinks according to law will earn in 1 year what the other cannot earn in a lifetime of labor. You must master these laws. The law of definite chief aim, the law of faith through auto-suggestion, the law of planning organized by purpose, the law of the mastermind, the law of cosmic habit force, which rewards only rhythm, not randomness. These are not opinions, these are eternal laws. Break them, and life will break you. Obey them, and the world will yield. You must live by inner command. You must rise before the world rises. You must speak your aim aloud. You must write your instructions to self. You must review your plan and build rhythm into every hour. This is not spiritual fluff. This is the foundation of every empire. Riches are not the reward of effort. They are the reward of obedience to law. Part 6. The habit system that creates financial slavery. If you would understand slavery, you must stop looking at chains and start looking at habits. For no man wears shackles on his wrists anymore. He wears them in his routines. Slavery in this age is not enforced by force. It is enforced by familiarity, by repetition, by rhythm gone wrong. You rise, you eat, you labor, you rest, and you call it life. But I ask you, is it your life? Or is it the life designed for you by other men who profit from your blindness? The modern slave is not bound by a master. He is bound by a cycle. And that cycle, unless interrupted, will carry him to the grave with nothing to show but obedience and exhaustion. The chains are in your habits. What time do you wake? What thought enters your mind before the world speaks? Do you begin your day with instruction to self, or do you check a machine and follow the world's instruction? When your body rises but your purpose sleeps, you are already a servant. Let us speak plainly. You cannot live like a common man and expect uncommon results. You cannot drift into fortune. You cannot wander into mastery. You must command it, and command requires rhythm, but it must be the right rhythm. The poor man wakes late, eats thoughtlessly, consumes without producing, reacts without thinking, and repeats the same confused day, year after year. This is the habit system that leads to financial slavery. It does not feel oppressive. That is why it is so dangerous. It feels normal, but it is normal only because it is widespread. And slavery that is widespread is still slavery. The difference is that now the slaves are quiet. They sing no sorrow songs. They just keep working and hoping and waiting for a reward that never comes. Now compare this with the habits of the wealthy, not those who inherited, but those who built. Andrew Carnegie rose early. He did not wait for orders. He issued them. He planned his day the night before. He spoke aloud his aims. He wrote letters of intention. He reviewed his progress daily, and he demanded the same from every man around him. Charles Schwab did not stumble into leadership. He became a multi-millionaire because he mastered organized rhythm. Every hour had a purpose. Every morning was planned. Every night was measured. He knew the law. If you cannot measure it, you cannot multiply it. Thomas Edison tested one idea over 1,000 times, not because he was lucky, but because he was structured. His repetition was not random. It was rhythmic. It was aimed. Now ask yourself, what is your daily rhythm producing? Do you eat like a rich man? I do not speak of food, I speak of thought. Do you consume knowledge that builds your aim or distraction that destroys it? Do you speak like a rich man? Are your words definite, clear, aimed, and positive? Or are they vague, filled with doubt? and drifting in complaint? Do you move like a rich man? Is your day mapped? Is your progress tracked? Do your actions serve a vision or simply respond to the needs of others? Do you think like a rich man? Have you formed the habit of directed thought, or do you merely react to the noise around you? You must audit your habits, because your habits are your destiny. Let me give you the model of wealth-building rhythm. This is what I teach all who seek to rise above the slavery of the world. Morning command. Rise before the world speaks. Speak your definite chief. Aim aloud. Read your plan for the day. Repeat your wealth affirmations with emotion. Midday. Alignment. Review progress against plan. Speak aloud. I am still on target. My aim is fixed. My pace is strong. Correct drift with immediate focused action. Evening review. Measure what was completed. Journal new lessons. Repeat your aim aloud before sleep. Visualize success as already yours. Repeat daily, without fail, without excuse. This structure alone will begin to reprogram your subconscious mind, and your subconscious is the builder of all results. Do not underestimate this. Most men fail not because they lack intelligence, but because they lack rhythm. The law of cosmic habit force is not poetic. It is practical. It means that every thought repeated becomes a command. Every action repeated becomes a pattern. Every pattern reinforced becomes identity. And every identity manifests results that match it. If you want wealth, you must form the habits of wealth. If you want power, you must form the rhythm of power. And if you want freedom, you must form the disciplines of a free man. And do not say you are too old. Do not say it is too late. The moment you command your rhythm, your life begins again. Repeat these affirmations daily. My habits build freedom or chains. Each day I command myself into power. Now write your daily rhythm. Practice it tomorrow, and the next, and the next. Do not skip. Do not drift. Do not delay. You are either forming the habits of freedom, or you are wearing the chains of slavery. Part 7. If you wait, you will serve those who did not. There is a law few men are willing to confront, a law more sobering than failure and more costly than ignorance. He who waits serves the man who does not. The world has never rewarded hesitation. It has never crowned the cautious. It has never surrendered its riches to the man who delayed. Look around you at every industry, every street, every corner of society, and you will find the same truth. The men who rule are not the ones who waited for permission. They are the ones who moved when others paused, decided when others doubted, and acted when others were still seeking clarity. Wealth does not come to the brilliant. It does not come to the good. It does not come to the hopeful. It comes to the man who moves. It finds its way into the hands of the one who stepped into the storm, made a decision under pressure, and claimed his portion while others still counted the cost. You think life will give you time? You think opportunity will wait? Number life waits for no one, and the man who waits becomes the laborer for the one who didn't. Abraham Lincoln, a man of great principle but greater movement, understood this law. In the darkest hours of his leadership, he did not sit in endless counsel. He moved. When the nation fractured, he acted. When the outcome was uncertain, he still advanced. He issued the Emancipation Proclamation not when it was safe, but when it was necessary. He did not wait for clarity. He created it through decision. That is what leaders do. That is what free men do. They act, and the world adjusts. Most men do not fail because they made the wrong move. They fail because they made no move. They wait for the economy to shift, for the perfect plan to emerge, for fear to disappear, for someone else to show them the way. But understand this, waiting is not neutral. Waiting is movement, backward. Every day you delay, another man acts. Another man builds. Another man claims the ground you forfeited. And then, when your years have passed and your energy is gone, you will find yourself in service to him, not because he was better, not because he was chosen, but because he moved. I must say it plain. Your delays will become your chains. And I know the voice that tries to excuse this. I'm still researching. I'm just not ready. I'm being patient. Let me tell you something that the rich understand and the poor ignore. Patience is only a virtue when it is paired with action. Patience without movement is paralysis. And paralysis is death in disguise. Look at the wealthy. Not one of them waited. Carnegie started in poverty, but he acted. He moved to organize steel when others feared risk. Ford dared to mass produce when others mocked the idea. Edison declared his inventions before they worked because he understood the law. Movement precedes manifestation. So, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for the economy to improve? While you wait, someone is creating their own economy. Are you waiting for more knowledge? While you wait, someone with less intelligence is building more wealth. Are you waiting for courage? Courage is not something you feel, it is something you decide. The tragedy is not that men fail. The tragedy is that they delay and delay and delay until the very life they wanted is now owned by someone else. And so I warn you, as a man who has studied failure and fortune alike, if you wait, you will work for the man who didn't. If you hesitate, your children will serve the children of the man who didn't. If you pause, your dream will be built by the man who didn't, and your name will not be on it. You may think you are being cautious, but the law of the world is movement. Those who do not move are trampled, and no excuse will spare you. I do not speak this to frighten you. I speak this to awaken you. The time is now. The door is open, but it will not remain open forever. Say these words with me. Let them burn into your being. I act while others wait. My speed creates my freedom. Do not let your habits be slow. Do not let your voice be hesitant. Do not let your life be a monument to what could have been. Move, decide, building now. Part 8. The man who refuses to serve becomes the one who commands. Let us now bring every law, every truth, and every warning to its final conclusion, identity. For until you transform who you are, no change in your habits, no change in your income, no change in your environment will last. This world does not obey the man who performs. It obeys the man who commands, and no man can command until he first refuses to serve. I do not speak of service to others, for there is honor in building, in giving, in contributing. I speak of servitude to fear, to routine, to wage, to mental chains. The man who wakes each morning only to serve the vision of another, who never writes his own aim, who waits for orders, who drowns in tasks without purpose. That man is not free. That man is not fulfilled. That man is not the master. And I tell you with the force of law, that man can be transformed. He must. Or else he will become what this system designed him to be, a worker until death, a consumer until empty, a servant until forgotten. The turning point, the line between labor and leadership is this: self-command. Not emotion, not wish, not even effort, command. And that command begins with the mind. A man who masters himself no longer obeys the world. The world obeys him. The market shifts to make room for his value. The people adjust to match his belief. The money moves toward his aim because he moves toward it without hesitation. Let me speak to you plainly now. You can die as a laborer or rise as a leader. The difference is not money, it is thought, discipline, and decision. You were not born to merely work. You were born to build. You were not born to be instructed. You were born to direct. You were not born to comply. You were born to create. And if you are still breathing, still hearing these words, it means it is not too late. But understand, this is the final gate. You must cross it, or forever live beneath it. What must you do? First, write your definite chief aim. Not tomorrow. Now decide who you are, what you demand from life, how you will serve others through your purpose, and make it clear, bold, and written. Second, build daily command. Do not trust motivation, trust repetition. Every morning, read your aim aloud. Every night, speak your belief in your wealth, your power, your identity. Shape your subconscious into the man who commands by daily shaping your words. Third, build income streams. A man who depends on one stream is still serving. Build systems. Create value. Use your mind, not just your time. Let your labor fund your freedom. But do not stop at labor. Build ownership. And if you ever doubt that this path works, let me remind you, I walked it.